Today on Locked On Red Wings, should Detroit pursue Nikolaj Ehlers, and will the top 6 left wing even make it to free agency?
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We're your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. Happy Friday, everyone. Scotty, we're recording just before the Scooble start, so crossing our fingers, we managed to take a series win from the triumphant Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, yeah. I could go for half an hour about the Orioles. They have really done nothing but get in their own way. They should be significantly better than they are, but yeah, I always love a rubber match with Scooble on the mound, man. And they're throwing out at a guy with an ERA of about 5. So hopefully that's a nice low-stress series victory for Detroit, even with a 10-1 loss there in the middle.
And if you want to hear Scotty go 30 minutes about the Baltimore Orioles-Detroit Tigers series, go give him a listen at Locked On Tigers, as he is the sole host over there, and he crushes it every single day. Much like you can listen to us every single day on any platform. So I appreciate you guys giving us your first listen. We're going to be talking about Nikolaj Ehlers today. Man, I think this is the final one in a long list of just pretty, I would call him a significant name. Not like he's not an elite level talent, but he's a top 6 forward. He's a notable name. Let's say notable name.
Yeah.
Pending free agents or RFAs or guys on the trade block. There's a long list this offseason. And he is, I think, the last one we really wanted to make sure we got to. Oh.
Really quickly, this was a debate within my friend group today, and I'm curious of your opinion on it and others. With Ehlers specifically, do you view his career as living up to the hype that was bestowed on him? I mean, he was a 9th overall pick that played a full season at 19 years old. Like, got called up at like 18, 19. And I feel like there was a lot of, I'm not trying to make it sound like he was like McDavid, obviously, but like there was a decent amount of hype there that would have been my senior year of high school. And so we all remember, people getting hyped up for him. And he's had a solid career. Like you said, notable player. We're going to talk about if he's a fit on the Wings today. But there was a big debate in my friend group on whether he has lived up to said expectations.
Just a great way to add some variation into these conversations, Scotty. Fantastic. I like this question. Yes, I think he has. I mean, he's a 9th overall pick. He's not a top 5 pick.
Right.
And he averages 60-plus points per 82 games played. If you look at his hockey reference, they average that out for you. So I don't have to do the math on the proration. They do it for you. He is a really, really good player. And if you look at the advanced analytics with the Winnipeg Jets, the Dauber Frozen Tools player usage chart, here, I'll even throw it up on the screen for those who are watching on YouTube. And you can see here, let me filter out all the defensemen real quick, where Nikolaj Ehlers is listed. Hold on, I can do this by position. No, get out of here. Get out of here. No.
Now you've highlighted the whole screen.
Absolute.
What is happening?
There we go.
There we go.
Listen, I don't claim to be some kind of savant when it comes to this.
I think you do.
I just added only defensemen.
You literally started off your role on this show was being the editor. I think you literally are proclaimed as being.
Well, I didn't say analytic filterer as like my.
Okay, we're getting really niche with the role technology plays here. I'm really good at the editing stuff. I'm really bad at sifting through advanced hockey analytics.
Listen, all right, we got it up now. I just killed all the momentum I had. I felt we were off on a good roll to start the episode.
No, I think we're still good. I think we're good.
But Nikolaj Ehlers, you can see here, when compared to his teammates, yeah, he's given primarily offensive zone starts. Of course he is. He was on a President's Trophy winning Winnipeg Jets team, and he's a top 6 forward, so it makes sense he'd get primarily offensive zone deployments compared to his defensive zone deployments. But he was getting tough competition, stronger than average, that you can see that based on where the x-axis is. He's above that, and his bubble is blue, which means, if you're looking at Dauber hockey, that he is strong relative Corsi to his competition. I know a lot of the advanced analytic people probably roll their eyes at that, but all it means is when he's on the ice, The Winnipeg Jets produce more shot attempts than they give up. And when Nikolaj Ehlers is on the ice, they do it more often. And the more blue they are, the stronger that is. And maybe the comeback to that would be, hey, this is a Nikolaj Ehlers playing on a President's Trophy winning Jets team. Okay, you go back a year prior, still a good season by the Winnipeg Jets, but it doesn't change much. Yeah, his competition's a little bit softer, but he's still strong blue in that regard. I always like this. One thing I don't like about Dobber hockey is I think sometimes they're titles for players. I would not describe Ehlers as a two-way forward,
Right.
but that's neither here nor there.
He's a right. There's not a person naming it. It's strictly based on where they fall on the, where their dot falls on the graph there. But I completely agree.
And I mean, just using this as the beginning of our conversation alone regarding Ehlers and the conclusion to your question that you asked me a few minutes earlier, yeah, I think he has pretty solidly lived up to the hype of a 9th overall draft pick.
Right.
You look at like other 9th overall draft picks, like Michael Rasmussen. Like what is he provided by comparison? And like Rasmussen might not be the best comparison because everyone agrees the moment he was signed that he was a reach.
Right.
But the moment he was drafted, rather. But yeah, Nikolaj Ehlers, I think he's lived up to the hype of a 9th overall pick with an 82-game average, who's offensive-oriented, power play guy. And for the Red Wings, this is a guy that, yeah, it's pretty obvious no-brainer that if you miss on a guy like Mitch Marner, he should absolutely be one of your Plan B candidates.
Yeah, for sure. Just for the record, Ehlers in terms of point share is 7th in that draft class, like the entire, not just the first round. I'm talking literally the entire draft class. He has the 7th highest points share in career points share. So I think that is kind of an indication. Also worth noting that this is the Dylan Larkin draft. Dylan Larkin is 9th in points share from that entire draft class. Obviously, he was taken 15 overall. So just something interesting that I agree with you. I think he has absolutely been kind of what you hope to get out of a pick in the back part of the top 10 there.
I'd like to hear the argument against him having lived up to 9th overall.
Yeah, so basically there was a couple of the opinions that were thrown out there were that because he was called up so young and he was so young when he debuted, that the expectation was higher for him, and that after his second season especially, I think that's his career high in points. I still believe is his age 19 or 20, his second year in the NHL. The fact that he did not continue growing and surpass that 64 point mark that he set at 20 years old, was the counter argument for we want him to take another step forward, kind of like be better. And the fact that was kind of his peak, quote unquote. But he had 63
I don't think that has anything to do with where he was drafted, though. Like, just based on where he was drafted alone.
Right. I think it was, I think it was more of a combination of draft night and, maybe rookie or young player expectations kind of like all mixed into one. I don't know. It was an argument amongst friends at like 11 p.m. When one of us is in a different part of the country. Like,
yeah, I don't think you should be friends with those people anymore.
Well,
I think you should just cut them out of your life.
That's a tall ask. Your opinion of Nikolaj Ehlers is
that's a deal breaker.
A little bit different than mine, so we're not going to speak anymore. I agree with you, though, and I think that obviously this past season was a solid year for him. I mean, if you go based on what he was, if you prorate his statistics this year, he would have had pretty comfortably. I mean, I guess not pretty comfortably because he was almost a point a game in the COVID season, but that was such a weird year. If you prorate this year, he would have had his career high in points and in probably pretty much everything. He would have been close in goals, but he had a really solid season. Obviously 28 years old this past year, so he's 29 for this upcoming season. And I think that if you can get him on this team for his prime years, I'm not sure this is a guy you want to sign to a 7 or 8 year deal, but like this is a guy you can get under control for 3 to 5 years. I think that he absolutely makes the team better. It's just a matter of how feasible it is to get him on the team for 4 to 5 years and what you'd have to give up to bring him onto the team.
All right, and we'll talk about that on segment 2 of Locked On Red Wings, so make sure you guys stay tuned. Oh my God, all those S's are tripping me up. Happy Friday. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss shots. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. New to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Yeah, it's just a no-brainer. We've done so many of these conversations by now. I think we mentioned it on the last episode. Like, we wouldn't be talking about a player necessarily on here unless that they made sense in some capacity. And this is the same conversation we have with all these other top 6 wingers. So top 6 winger, you need a left wing. He actually happens to be a natural left wing, so that's a little bit of an extra plus in his category, rather than having to move Raymond off of right wing or move Besser off of right wing. He's a natural left wing. So you got that going for you, which is nice. He's a 60-point guy on average. He scores 25 goals. He's a power play one guy, maybe power play 2 on this team. I don't know. But yeah, he moves the needle offensively for a team that's lacking another top 6 forward. He's in the prime of his career right now. All that is the same conversation we've had with all these other players. It's all true with him still. The question then becomes, again, what are the downsides? I think a lot of that is still also true with a lot of the top 6 forwards we've mentioned. When you're getting a top 6 forward, oftentimes they're offensive-oriented. He's not as bad defensively as Brock Besser was, but he's not also as good defensively as Mitch Marner is. He falls a little bit in the middle, probably closer to the Besser end of things. He's not known for his offensive skill set, but I mean, you're getting him to score goals. You can fill the depth in the bottom half of the lineup, right, with defensive-oriented players, so you can deploy these guys more offensively. That's what you want, ideally. I'm trying to think, Lynn. Like, I think the question here is what you teased before going into segment 2 here is, what will the cost be to get him?
Right. And I think that you had mentioned something right before we hit record where it's like, and we've had this conversation with a couple other players, but, does he even leave Winnipeg? Like, you know what I mean? Is there even obviously it's enough of a chance for us to have this discussion, but I think that's kind of where I start is like, it doesn't even make sense for either party to move on from the other in terms of him and the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I can see why he wouldn't want to stay in Winnipeg is the city itself. Like, the fan base is fantastic, but like,
they don't even have an airport. I mean, golly.
People joke, but like, travel is a pain in the butt to Winnipeg,
and they're the Jets.
It's in the middle of nowhere, and it's just there's nothing to do. And so, like, a lot of players, it's hard to get them to commit. Like, you're laughing, but it is a real thing that players do consider. Like, why do you think so many players will go to the warm weather states or the no-tax states? Even though Bettman disagrees, he's being dishonest. It is a factor these days when you can make so much extra money in no-tax states. Like, these are factors that these players consider, but, like, for hockey players, I think first and foremost it's about winning, and Winnipeg, while not ever having real success in the playoffs, is absolutely a lock to make the playoffs every year. Won a President's Trophy this year. I mean, they got their core locked up besides Kyle Connor, and they have $28 million in cap space this offseason with not a lot of guys coming off the books. And the guys who are coming off the books, honestly, I mean, you can re-up them. You have RFAs, yeah, but I don't think any of these RFAs are going to cost them an arm and a leg.
Right.
So,
well, that's the thing, too. You mentioned all the cap space they have. I mean, when you look at the guys that do need re-upping, I mean, or a guy even like Ehlers, like you can just be like, okay, when this runs its course, like they have enough space where they can just kind of overpay people too. Just be like, oh, you don't want to go to Winnipeg? Well, here's an extra $1 a year AAV. Do you want to come now? Like, you know what I mean? Like they have that luxury too. I
was actually shocked too when I looked at their cap projections because, like, again, this is a team that just won the President's Trophy. And they locked up Hellebuck. Lowry, I think Lowry's going to be a UFA next year. He's 32. So that's another guy you got to keep in mind. Cole Perfetti's going to be an RFA. So they will have a lot of decisions to make next year, especially with the Kyle Connor extension incoming, and he will get an extension, I'm sure, unless he hits free agent market and comes back home. Please. But they have projected $58 million in cap space next offseason. So, you could make the argument that they could let Ehlers walk to ensure that they have the money to sign the RFA and Kyle Connor next offseason. But I don't know. I feel like if they wanted to make it work, they absolutely could make it work. And they're trying to. They've made it known they want to re-sign Ehlers.
Right.
I find it hard that players are chomping at the bit to leave a team that just came in first in the NHL in the regular season.
Correct. Yeah. And again, that has a ton of cap. Right. You know what I mean? Like you're not, this isn't, and they're obviously again,
no
they all right.
I thought about that one too. I was like, I shouldn't say it, but the impulse control left me.
That's really disappointing. Yeah, well, and that's the thing too, right? Is like the payment is not an issue for these guys that are due for extensions or due for contracts, right? Like money's not a problem, and obviously
that's
again,
crazy.
There's some that they will have to make decisions. Like they can't literally just extend everybody 7x7 on the whole roster. They're going to have to make decisions at some point. But like they have so much cap space this year, and you mentioned next year. What is it? Pushing 60 mil? Like they have so much money for a team that just won the Presidents. Like it's I don't know. Like it. Unless they're looking way down the road and they're like, we need to pay like 8 of these guys huge contracts, so one person has to be kind of the outlier, then I guess maybe. But like, I don't think they're in too much of a pressure cooker to like make sure that, or like worried about like, oh, like we can't afford so and so. Like, no, they can probably afford anybody they want on their current roster.
Well, I think it comes down to what are their priorities, right? Like, you want long-term success, you're just trying to capitalize on the window you have right now. Because, I mean, they have $58 million in cap space next year. Right now, you sign Ehlers, he gets $8 million. Now you only have $50 million in cap space for next offseason. So obviously,
only 50 mil? Oh, no.
Right. And like you have a lot of players, you have a lot of players coming off the books. Several are RFAs, but UFAs too. Like half of their forward core is coming off the books this year.
Right.
So they will have to fill that void, but the majority of that is more depth players than anything outside of Ehlers or young players who are under team control. So I don't know. I feel like they absolutely could. I can understand maybe like wanting, like, letting him walk, but they say they don't want to let him walk. They're trying to make a deal happen. I just don't see him walking to free agency, but I've been wrong before. And if he does make free agency, the Red Wings should take a shot if they whiff on the heavy hitters, and it sounds like they're going to whiff on the heavy hitters because it doesn't sound like Marner has much interest in Detroit, which it was always a pipe dream. Like I never actually thought he would come here. I still think Yzerman should
go to Anaheim.
Or like people talking about Chicago, and like,
dude, no, the big one I saw was Anaheim because it's, you can go live in California and they aren't paying anyone. They're just like, we'll pay him 15 mil. We don't care. Like, you know what I mean? They're just gonna disgustingly overpay him.
Media's not as crazy out there either,
right?
Because he reportedly hates Toronto media. I mean, I would too.
Can't imagine why.
Yeah, right. I don't know, man. Like, it's just when it comes to contract projections, we haven't really touched on that yet. We'll wrap up the conversation with this. Evolving Hockey has his contract projection as 40% likely that he signs a 7-year, $8.9 million contract. So something around that. That is a lot of money for a guy who averages 63 points across 82 games, but also the cap is rising, and that just is the new reality of the league, I feel. 7 years would make me a little itchy, right? Because, like, he's 29 years old already. His birthday's in February. So that's a guy whose contract's not going to expire till 36. But the other likelihood is he signs a 5-year deal for 7.8. That's almost as equally likely, and I would take that in a heartbeat,
brother. I'd do that. I'd run to the. Well, I was gonna say run to the podium. That's for the draft. I'd run to the piece of paper on the desk to sign it. I don't know.
Contract?
Yes. Well. Okay. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah, man. Like that one, I would do in a heartbeat, and even like the 7-year one. I think people would maybe scoff at that initially, but the, not only is the cap going up next year, it's going to keep going up. Like the salary cap is going to go up possibly in like each of the next 3 off seasons. Like that, I think by the end of that, it won't be some like egregious, oh my goodness, unless his production just completely falls off a cliff, which I guess is possible at that age. But I mean, even then, if he's still a 50-plus point guy in his mid-30s, I don't think that contract's going to be like a hindrance at that point.
Yeah, that's the big thing too. Is like in the back half of that contract, as the cap rises, it's not. I mean, 8.9 million is not nothing, right? Like I'm not trying to trivialize it and make it seem like there's
For
no
sure. Yeah,
impact to your salary cap. But I don't know. To reiterate something I've reiterated all summer long here is that I'm ready for Steve Yzerman to take a swing at something. And like Nikolaj Ehlers is like the 4th or 5th pitch I'd take a swing at.
Right.
But he's on the list. Like if I want this team to make a bold move to get better, he's on my list of guys that I think would make this team positively impact this team's chances of making the playoffs immediately, because he fills an immediate need in the top 6. You have a lot of other needs to fill as well, and you will have to probably overpay to get him, because that's just the nature of free agency. But this team needs a bold move, and he's not the boldest move. He's not Mitch Marner, but he's just on that list of guys who immediately would make this team better. And yeah, the contract might not age well. He might fall off a cliff, but like, if you're trying to make this team better now and make the playoffs next year so they learn the playoff experience, then yeah, like, take a swing.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So let's do a quick break. When we return, Scotty, we'll wrap up. We can do a How Do You Feel About It Friday. I know there was something you might have wanted to talk about. Well, so I'll throw it to you. I'll let you decide what we do. So stay tuned. Segment 3 of Locked On Red Wings. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed's sponsored job posts put your job at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. I've been in that spot before, back when I worked at LCA, where we needed to hire fast. I mean, actually, it was coming right out of COVID, so we had next to no employees. All of a sudden, we were opening up the store full capacity for game days. We needed to hire fast, and we used Indeed. So many of the employees that we hired that season came from Indeed, interviews through Indeed. It was great. The pressure's on, and every day without a person, it felt like a setback. That's exactly when Indeed's sponsored job posts came in handy. They make sure your post is seen by the right candidates right away. Now, you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon, and right now, and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Indeed is all you need.
Indeed it is.
I love how we both have our things. When we say them, one of us just shakes our head no.
You didn't even crack a smile. That looked like pure annoyance. You're like, that was so ridiculous.
I crack a smile every time I see your face.
I think that's more of an at than with situation, but I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, I understand. It took me a second to process. Like, what? But segment 3, I'm throwing it to you. What do you want to do? You want to do How Do You Feel About It Friday, or you want to do the...
Well, I think we can do How Do You Feel About It Friday and start with a hockey one. You put out an interesting...
Oh, he's combining them. Dude, he's so good.
Trade. I know. I'm really cooking today. You put out an interesting mock trade for Robertson that I think sparked a really good conversation online, and so I want to bring it to the show because you posted it after our Robertson episode, and it was 2 firsts and Danielson for Robertson, and I know that there's been varying opinions of a price tag that's that high. For me personally, I would do that in a heartbeat. To be real with you, I don't value and like as everybody said, the 2026 draft is really good and everyone's really excited about it. The hope is you're picking late. So like those first round picks diminish in value if you are a good hockey team. So like I have no issue dishing the first round picks if it means getting a player of that caliber. Of course I don't want to get rid of Danielson. Of course I want Danielson to be here, forever, but to me, that's very much like it could be a boat situation where like, what's the best case scenario for Danielson? Is it better than Robertson? Probably not. So let's just take a guy that's one of the best point producers in the league. And so that's kind of my reasoning, but I know that there's certainly varying opinions. I know some people said it was an overpay. There was some really interesting, the people that actually have good conversations online and don't just yell at each other. I thought some of those were really interesting to read as well. And I liked some of the points on the other side, even though I would do it.
Right. So, and just to clarify too, I had two different trade proposals. One that I made public, one that it was a private message just to you and a couple of friends of mine. The one I made public was actually Danielson, a 2025 first and a 2025 second, just to get the door open. I think that one's honestly a little under, but the one you're referencing was the one that I sent you via private message, and I'll talk about it here. I was just playing around when I was bored when I sent that to you, but I was using the Mikko Rantanen trade as reference. And it was 2025 first, 2026 first, 2025 Rangers third round pick that the Detroit Red Wings own, and Nate Danielson. Because I used Mikko Rantanen's deal as the basis for that, because Mikko Rantanen was dealt for 2 firsts, Logan Stankoven, and 2 thirds.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, well, I don't think we'd have to do 2 thirds because our first round pick is of higher value than the Dallas Stars. And I got it you said you would do it in a heartbeat. I think if adding the second first gives me a little pause. I'd be a little bit, at the end of the day, you're getting a guy who has a 100-point season ceiling, has hit 80 points in back-to-back years, has scored 40 goals. So, like, at the end of the day, it makes your team immediately better by a lot. He's not the best skater in the world. He doesn't have great defense, but the dude can shoot the puck. And you're getting that on your top line. He can play both left and right, so you fill that need. It's great. I've had some people tell me that's an overpay, though, because of the same reason that I just said. Like, your 13th overall pick has so much more value than the 2 firsts that the Stars gave up for Mikko Rantanen.
Well,
so, like,
at least one of them.
Yes.
Again, if you get Robertson and he catapults you into the playoffs, then that second becomes
first
significantly less valuable then.
So I wonder, too, if you could do Danielson, your 2025 first, one of your second or one of your thirds from this season, and maybe like a B tier prospect like Buyum. Because I'm not so naive to think that it'd be Danielson at first and it's a done deal, right? Like, I think they're gonna still want more because they want to restock the cupboards. They give up so much for Mikko, but I think that like a 2025 first, Danielson, ASP, I wouldn't want to give up Casper. But they're going to be looking for somebody who's either in the NHL or close.
I think they'd want someone who's knocking on the door at least, which is why,
right.
You presume Danielson somewhat checks that.
Right. I chose Danielson because he's the one I'd be most willing to give up. Not that I don't love Danielson. I love Danielson, but like, you already have Marco Casper here and ASP. You're really sorely lacking on, depth on the right side. And he's he's a type of defenseman you really don't have in the system. But like Danielson, 2025 first, 2025 second, and Shai Buyum, like, I think that would be close-ish. I don't know. I have no idea. I really don't. That's just my best guess.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, it's interesting. I'm really interested in how that situation kind of plays out. But, I also, if that's not in the realm of possibility and it's not, then guess what? I will gladly just take Nate Danielson and our 2 first round picks.
Right. It's like, we get to keep our...
Right. We get to keep Nate Danielson. Darn. Like, obviously that's totally fine by me too. But
so how do you feel about the Detroit Tigers getting pumped by the Baltimore Orioles? This was Thursday's game.
I'm preaching not patience. Something I keep preaching on the Tigers show is not to be so reactionary in the game of baseball. It is such a long season, and the Tigers literally are still favored to win the series. We're recording before the game. Maybe Skubal stinks and the Orioles win the series, but like, you know what I mean? Like, you have the best pitcher on the planet going in game 3. You can win a series. If you win 2 of every 3, you're going to win dang near 100 games. Like, that's really I don't need to sweep every single team in baseball. And it was also a 2-run game in the 8th inning. The bullpen completely imploded. It was 3-1 going into the bottom of the 8th. It's not like, they got
Brisky
crushed
was
the whole
so
game.
bad they demoted him afterwards.
Right. So like I don't. I really don't think much of it. I don't think it's like that's a representation of where the team is at. They have literally the best record in baseball. I think everything's fine. And you go out and you win a series, and or you win Thursday, then you win a series, and you get to come. I think you come home to play Cincinnati, who's one of the more exciting young teams in baseball too. So that'll be a fun weekend.
Well, here's another one too. Sorry, I'm going back to back here, but I want to ask your thoughts because you are a closeted Ducks fan. So I
have
want to
some friends
ask
that'll be very pleased to hear that. Yeah.
I want to hear your thoughts on the Chris Kreider trade.
Yeah. Like I don't love it. I don't love it. I think it's one of those things where I understand like the idea of what they're trying to accomplish with it, but I think the execution of bringing him in is borderline terrible. I really don't. I really don't think that that's a great move for the Ducks, to be honest with you. But
I thought the same about the Trouba trade too. But
yeah, fair. I don't know. Like we'll see. They have so much like wiggle room this summer. They have so much money. They're not paying anyone. They still have prospects that they're hoping are going to debut this season. They're very, very young. So we'll kind of see what their summer looks like. But yeah, I didn't think this was exactly a home run by our friend over there.
Pat Verbeek. Yeah, I thought it was a pretty bad trade. I'm not gonna lie with you. I mean, I get the picture. Like you have a young core, you're trying to surround them with some veteran talent to elevate the floor of the team, so they learn how to win games, surround them with the leadership. But Jacob Trouba, as much as we were saying, like, yeah, we'd take him on the Red Wings because the defensive depth is so bad, he would be an improvement. Like, let's not pretend he's some superstar. And you're taking on that, and they have the cap space to take on the money. That's fine, but the fact that they gave up value to get Chris Kreider is wild to me. Like they gave up a second round, a prospect they took in the second round just 2 years prior, like in Carey Terrence. Like I don't necessarily understand the idea here, but I mean, who am I to judge? I guess, man, it's just, yeah, Carey Terrence had 39 points in 45 games with OHL this last season. I don't know, man.
We'll see.
Otters. Yeah, I'm not sure what. I mean, it's not going to hurt them, I guess, in the long run. And I think he does make their team better. He's falling off a cliff hardcore, but I don't know. Between that and the Trouba trade, I'm just like, I don't know if these are the right rebuilding steps, but I could be completely wrong. And
I mean, ultimately, it comes way more down to the development of their youth than it does like these moves, or if like they land Marner. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff.
They're supposedly going to be super aggressive towards Marner too. So
right. So yeah, we'll see.
I just can't. I mean, I get Marner going to like for the media purposes, but like that seems nowhere near ready to compete for a Stanley Cup, and like you're gonna waste your prime on a rebuilding team. Same like the Blackhawks. Like they have Connor Bedard, they have some young youth talent, but like I don't know. I feel like those would be bad locations for him to sign. But it's all smoke. Anyways, I'm wasting time. We gotta go. We gotta go enjoy our weekends.
We gotta go. We have to go. I got to go right now.
We gotta go. I gotta go. All right, Scotty. Final thoughts. Sorry, I'm rambling.
We ball, baby.
We do ball. We'll be back with a new episode on Monday. Stay tuned for that. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.